right, guys, welcome back to our unique devotion for the next couple of days here, something to think about. If you're not familiar with the channel, go back to 1 Corinthians chapter 13, the full chapter, and I go over some of what we do here at this chapter just to fill you in. So for the rest of you, you know the drill. I'm going to start reading 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 through 7. I think it's, verses 4 through 7. Let me double check. And then I got something for us to go deeper with and think about. So, first of all, here's the scripture. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, starting in verse 4. Really listen, okay? If you have to, pause where necessary and contemplate. All right, here we go. Love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself, is not puffed up, does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, is not provoked, thinks no evil. Love does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and love endures all things. Now the chapter goes on, and it keeps going a little deeper, but there was a lot of stuff right there. So the question, the thing that you should maybe be thinking about rolling around in your mind is, what is love to you? So the last time, in the last video, when we started in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, we were kind of looking at what love is around us, how we view love on our inside, looking for examples. Maybe that's a better way to point it out. We're looking for examples of love in our lives, love outwardly coming towards us, and the way that we love outward, and really being honest with ourselves, maybe even noticing some forms of love that we hadn't seen before, really putting them into the proper category. So here we want to put things in their proper place again. Because, life happens, life is messy, things get a little distorted from time to time. What is love to you? Now that you know, you've looked for examples, and you think you started to categorize that, and you see some examples in your own life going outwards of how you love others, wrap that in the definition, in the meaning of what love is to you. It's not really tricky, but it's not necessarily easy either. So I'm not going to read all of these examples again. I encourage you, break out your own Bible and go to 1 Corinthians chapter 13 and read verses 4 through 7 on your own. And as you're reading it, don't just read through to get it done. Really pick out each little section here. There's comma, a couple of words, and a comma, a couple words, and a comma. They're sectioned off. So each one can almost be thought about on its own. And if you want to go deeper, I encourage you to take the time to do 3 of them and see how profound it can be in your life, and look for that, oh, wow, God, I didn't see that before. I'm glad I took the time to pray about it, contemplate on this thought. If 3 is too much, and I understand, sometimes it's just hard to find the time. It's not really about excuses, but doing 1, just taking 1 of these and really diving a little bit deeper can really, it can change your life so profoundly, and you will never be the same again, and it will be positive, because the way that you love outward and the way that you look at how the world is showing you love is going to change. for the better, promise. So, the very first one, let's hit that. Love suffers long and is kind. So in English, we put the word "and" in between there. Love suffers long and is kind. Love suffers long and is kind. We're separating that in our mind by putting that word "and" in there. We're saying that love suffers long over here, so sometimes love suffers long, and it's maybe long periods of time before you get that reward kind of thing. And it's kind, as though it's two separate things. But really, it's not. Think of it as overlapping instead. Yes, they're separate, but love is long-suffering and at the same time is kind. Because when we say long-suffering, we feel like it's not love. Suffering is not necessarily love. Suffering is not good. We don't want to suffer. When we think of suffering, we think of like maybe starving to death or just dying slowly or watching a tree wilt, or a pet having problems and not feeling well, or loved ones, slowly passing away. We think of that long suffering that they have to deal with. But kindness is interweaved in that. It's not separate. In that kindness, in that togetherness, it is a facet of love. It's the diamond. If you guys keep watching these videos, I use that analogy of the diamond in all the different facets. This is an infinite diamond here, and we can facet and facet and facet the idea of love over and over again. This is complicated thought, just this first one. And you need to kind of think about this on your own. You need to sort of feel that out. Maybe look for examples where there's suffering in your life or you see suffering in others. But see if you can see the kindness in there somewhere. And it may come from a place that you have never recognized before. So just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not there. So there's a heavy challenge for you right there. If that's the only one, you're like, okay, I'm going to heavy challenge that one for the next 3 or 4 days or the next week. Go for it. That's a heavy challenge. Let's do 2 more real quick here. It says love does not envy, and love does not parade itself, is not puffed up, does not behave rudely. Let's go with love does not behave rudely. Okay, so people joke all of the time. People are joking around. People can sometimes be rude in your life. So let's flip this. Do you ever recognize maybe moments where you're being rude, or you're sort of, because of your jokingness, the other person, the words that are coming in your mouth are sort of tainted with not joking? We end up not using love properly. So, okay, let me give you an example. I'm not the world's strongest guy. I'm not the world's biggest guy. But time to time, sometimes people make a joke about my size, or, because maybe they're bigger than me or stronger than me. It's sort of a brotherly kind of, kidding around, which I do not take offense to, or it's just a slide remark that is taken off as a joke of, like, being super thin and skinny is just an easy thing, and oh, well, you don't understand, you don't have any troubles because you're thin and you can eat whatever you want. There's there's some joking that comes along from friends, from family, from people I've never met. And, when that happens, I don't take offense to it because I understand. But at the same time, that's not being loving. That's what I'm using this here for, as a point that if you really want to love towards me, joking in those ways don't help. They don't help. Though I don't take offense and I might joke back, regardless of how I react to it, because I can overcome that, the initial energy is tainted. And it's not coming from a place of brotherly love and kidding around. It's coming from someplace else. And, I can speculate sometimes about what those things are, but I don't really know. So I don't speculate back, and I don't joke back and jab them right back. I usually just joke and jab about myself. That way I'm safe, and I'm just directing that negative energy back towards me then, because I can handle it. Maybe that made sense to you. If that made sense to you, then maybe you've seen it or you're dealing with it in your own life. And, here's some encouragement. Learn to love. Just learn to love deeper. Learn to love in better ways. Go with different facets. Does not behave rudely. Love does not behave rudely. So think of areas in your life where maybe you're rude or others are rude to you, or it feels rude even when people are joking. And this is just a real small example, really. Turn that back into love. Take that energy that's coming in and just put it back out into love. Somehow. Test it. Figure it out. When you test it, you figure it out, you live that example, it's going to be with you for your entire life. Because you'll always be able to come back to that feeling of how to love when you don't feel like you're being loved, which is hard. Love does not seek its own. I should point out, if you guys have an example of that, put that in the comments. Because maybe my example doesn't matter a lick to you, but maybe you have an example that makes sense to you. If 10 people put 10 different examples, we have a list then of things for people to read and see that something you might say might connect with someone else, might help them through a situation, or help them to see love in a deeper way. So leave those comments down below if you think of it. One more here. We'll find it. Does not seek its own, is not provoked. Love is not evil. Let's stop there. I mean, there's a whole bunch more here. Love is not evil. This is tricky. This is tricky because if we step into the shoes of the person doing the evil, wherever their emotions are coming from, anger, revenge, I'm thinking of large evil, like Holocaust-sized evil, world domination evil, annihilating whole families at the point of a gun kind of evil. If we psychologically step into that other person's shoes, regardless of how horrendous we are seeing it to be, there's an issue with love even on that side. Even on the side of evil, there's an issue with love. It's been twisted. But to them, they feel that their action, this is more of a psychological thought process here. Their action is coming from a place that deals in love, either a diminishing of love and not having enough love in their life, so they don't see love. All they see is anger, frustration, but love is still there. And they act out in order to force that balance. They think that if they cause a Holocaust and wipe off the planet, a certain people group, that it'll bring balance, and they'll finally be able to calm down that anger and that frustration and bring maybe love back into the situation. So love is still there. Annihilating a family at the point of a gun, that person, no matter how horrendous they are or lacking of love, emotion they have, it's there, it's diminished, it's greatly diminished. They're battling massively, and they think that if they do this thing, it'll remove that and leave more room then for love, that somehow that'll bring them satisfaction to bring love back into balance. That's hard to swallow, especially for most Christians, because you feel like there's good and there's bad. There's evil and then there's God. But there's a bigger play going on here. Now, I could spend 4 hours discussing this, but I'm just putting a little seed of thought there, just something that maybe force you to disagree with me or force you to see something that you hadn't seen before in a way that you haven't seen before. So love that is not evil. Do you see how that, because it's diminished, but it's still there, look for the evil in your life. You know, the maybe minor evil, the things that you feel like you do wrong, the sins that you create towards other people, the wrongness, the wrong thoughts, the wrong feelings, the wrong actions. You know, it could be argued that it's sort of a minimal anger, but it's still there. So I just threw out some ideas. They're ideas, they're not totality at all. They're just things to kind of get your mind rolling, get your mind thinking. What is love to you? Contemplate that. Really contemplate that. Just sit down or while you're going through your day and just sort of let that roll. On that note, next time we'll keep going here in 1 Corinthians chapter 13. I know that God is giving you all the blessings you deserve, and even more so, all the blessings you don't deserve. Till next time, have a wonderful day. And remember, peace, love, and diamonds. It's just not working out. I got to think of something else different there, because I want to use that. I think it's important. Anyway, peace, love, and diamonds. I'll see you guys next time. Have a wonderful day.